Hello and welcome to All Four Wins Football. We are back, and listen. Ever since Sean said it was boring, and it kicked off. Come and see us after this. We'll have a chat about it. Yes, hello, welcome back. It is All for Wins Football, and we are back for another little Monday meetup. Just the three of us this evening. Freya unable to make it, and there's a fair bit to get our teeth around this time. But we will just check in and see how everybody's doing. Sean, how's life for you, sunshine?
I'm all right. I've not gone yet. Unlike Sky Sports Halo, I am alive and I am kicking.
Glad you mentioned that. That's just going to be another point that we can have a little chat about, because I did want to talk about that, but completely forgot about it because, life. Just pop that one down. So there we go. Liberty, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I actually have a quiz question for you, Barry. Specifically for you, Barry, because I just realised I think Sean knows the answer because I think I told him in a group chat yesterday. So that sort of is cheating. So I'm just going to ask you.
Oh God!
How many home games do you think Hammarby won in the league season that finished yesterday?
Okay, well, the good news about this question is that I'm not expected to know the answer. So all of a sudden, I feel all of the pressure going off of me. How many games do they play in a season as a whole? Because I don't know how many teams are in it.
26-game season.
26 games. So they played 13 home games. So the question is, how many home games do I think they won this season?
Yeah.
13.
Yes. In fact, they won we have one home game left, which will be on Thursday, but we've won all but one of the previous home games in 2025. And that one game that we lost was against this team called Manchester United, if you've ever heard of them.
Talking about? Who are they?
I don't know who they are, but the only team to beat us at home this year. And technically, does those Champions League qualifiers really count as a home game because it's like more bit of like neutral territory? I guess because it quite literally was in the 3 Arena, it is like quite literally a home game. But
I would give you it that it doesn't, because we have county cup finals sometimes and they're at the county ground, which is where we play our home games. But for that day, we're not supposed to be the home team. So yeah, it's not an official home game. I'll give you that one.
But yeah, 13 out of 13, not a single point dropped at home all season, I think is quite impressive.
And you still finished second. Quite impressive if you ask me. But...
And did you get it right? Did you know it, Sean?
I was told.
You was told.
I was told.
Yeah, I told him yesterday. I asked in a group chat, I said, how many games out of 13 do you think we won? And somebody else guessed 13 correctly before Sean could answer my question. So
I was preoccupied down at Barry Island yesterday. So
well, it's a fantastically named island. Why would you not be?
Exactly.
There we go. Well, tidy. So let's move on from that. Wonderful quiz question. I like that. More of those. They were quite good. I enjoy a little quiz question there, especially when it's low stakes like that. And I'm not expecting some sort of reputational damage. That's amazing. Chelma really wants to get across that you look like Jonathan Heraldez.
I'm delighted with that. He's a good-looking bloke. I'll take him all day long. Thank you very much. I'll send you your $5 in the post at the end of this recording.
I usually get Phil Mitchell, so I feel like you're winning on that one. But there we go. I'm hoping it's Phil Mitchell. No, but he's not an alcoholic, because otherwise that's a really bad look. But we'll see. We'll see. Right. Well, lots of it. Here we are, Connor. Yes, indeed. Welcome back over to your channel. So loads to go through. We're not going to spend ages on this first conversation, but obviously we do have to spend a reasonable amount of time on what we put on the thumbnail, which is, of course, Manchester City in the driver's seat for the WSL this season. It's madness what happened on Sunday. Obviously, Manchester United lose the game to Manchester City comfortably, I might add. City at that point open up a 4-point gap over Chelsea and a 7-point gap over Man United. Everybody and their wife or husband would have sat there and thought, well, Chelsea and Arsenal, they're probably going to pull that back. United will be out of the top 3. Not so. It has been a wild one. So my first question does come down to Man City. And Liberty, I'll kick off with you on this one. Can you see him going on to win this? And I say this purely because Chelsea are dropping points. They want to be losing, but they're dropping points. And Arsenal are having the same problem. There's lots of games being drawn, and those little 2 points, they mount up. And with City losing just the one game, ironically, to Chelsea near the beginning of the season, they're flying now. I know it's only a 3-point gap, so we can't exactly count out Chelsea. But can you see City holding this up? Because with no European football and a side that has fewer injuries than it did last season, they're getting there.
Yeah, if this was let me start again. Rethink the thought. If there was no interruption in this league season for players that will be playing in the Asia Cup, I would say yes. But City are going to lose their most important player to the Asia Cup in Hasegawa, plus 2 other very important starters. And I'm not sure that when it's about 3 games that if Japan go far, it's about 3 games that they will miss for the Asia Cup come January, February time. And I just don't know what this City team will look like without Hasegawa, whilst also Yamashita and Fujino. So yes, in theory, because I think they're doing really well. Obviously, that's 8 in a row now that they've won since that opening loss to Chelsea, which really worked out in their favour. I think they've had, obviously last season they started away at Arsenal. This season they start away at Chelsea, but I think that's actually worked out in their favour because you basically get the hardest game over and done with when there's not much expectation on you, especially under a new manager. And so, yes, if they keep up this sort of form when they are going to have players away come February, because I think that Hasegawa is just so important to them that, and I don't think there is they haven't got somebody who can replace her and do what she does and how key she is and has been for, since she joined the team at this point. So, once again, yes, in theory, but that's only if they keep up this form come when they're going to lose those 3 players.
I think that's perfectly fair. Sean, from your side of things there, very similar question, to be honest. I suppose I'll double barrel it for you. So first of all, did you expect Man City, I'll say it, to roll over Man United in the manner that they did? Because United were a non-entity really in the game. And as such, can they really now be, or should they, not can they be, because they can, but should they now be considered the most likely side to take the title off of Chelsea if anyone's going to?
I'm not surprised City defeated United in the way they did. I think Wednesday night, I think it was more than just a game for Man United against PSG. I think it took a lot of them physically, but also mentally, just the whole, being at Old Trafford for the first time in the Champions League, playing up against Mary Earps and the whole saga behind that. I think that takes a lot out of you from a mental side. So I'm not surprised at all that City rolled over United in the way they did. And because United looked so off it first half, and that's why you lost it, really. So that's that. I think it was Alan makes a good point. They can win if Bunny Shaw doesn't get injured. But this is the thing. I don't trust City to keep all their players fit and healthy throughout an entire season. Bunny Shaw could get injured again. Lauren Hemp could easily get injured again. Greenwood's out for however long it's going to be like if Wahhabi gets injured, for example, at left back, who on earth do you play left back? Like it's still quite a thin squad in a couple of aspects. And I've also learned, because I'm a big learner, I like to see things and I like to learn. And I learn never, ever, ever write Chelsea off in any way, shape or form. And No Couture Criminal says that they're going to lose Kerr and Carpenter when the Asia Cup is on. You'll have Bronze that plays in at right back. And you're going to have Myra Ramirez back. I don't think anyone's talked about Myra Ramirez coming back, because I think when she's back, that's a whole different element to Chelsea. That's a whole different looking attack. And I think that's an added element we're waiting to see, because I do think Ramirez is a phenomenal forward. So I'm not ruling Chelsea out whatsoever. I know far better than that. I do think it will be one of City or Chelsea for the title. I think there's not too much going to argue against me there, I don't think. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see with Champions League, obviously, what happens. And there's a whole transfer window to go as well. I mean, we've seen Chelsea aren't afraid to go out and splash the cash in the January transfer window in particular. City obviously have the ability to spend money. I also think with the Hasegawa, I saw someone put on one of my stuff that, would Clinton play in that Hasegawa role? And I think if you're going to put Clinton where Hasegawa's playing, good luck. I mean, that's a whole different story, Clinton and whatever's going on with her this season. But I think there are a lot of caveats to City winning the league, that's all. But I will never, ever rule out Chelsea in anything.
So I do love how Grace Clinton decided to leave a Champions League side because she was constantly on the bench to go and play for a non-Champions League side, sit on the bench. But listen, we can't all be Einstein. So there we go. Listen, we had a great question in from one of our viewers, Sean. I'd like you to answer the question. And the reason why I want you to answer this question is because I know you would have been over on All for United WFC. I don't know how much of that you caught, but I made a real big case for people just leaving Saf alone because I felt like it wasn't very fair. She's got a lot of flack, and actually she's an international goalkeeper, but she's young, and she is still cutting her teeth in terms of being a goalkeeper. I'm not convinced that United crumble necessarily without Fallon. There's no doubt if you were to pound for pound put them up against each other, yes, Fallon's had a much better go of it over the last couple of seasons than Saf, mainly because Fallon plays and Saf doesn't. So doesn't really have that much choice in the matter. But I'm just intrigued to see your thoughts on Saf's performances over the last two Manchester United games from a Welsh perspective and from a non-United perspective.
I mean, Cal Surprise, you would praise someone to the hilt and they're also at the first opportunity, we'll tear them down. I think that was quite clear to me after Saturday's game. Look, people are surprised that she's playing over Rendell. I'm not, because Rendell is not an international goalkeeper. Quite simply, Safi Middleton Patel has played for Wales in qualifiers in a friendly and, in a European Championship. It's like comparing something good and something bad. I can't think off the top of my head. But no, and look, the first United goal, not her fault. If you're going to put someone small on someone tall at a corner, well, you know what's going to happen there. Second goal, maybe, but I think Bunny Shaw's movement, a really good cross from Kasper as well. And third goal, well, it's just a thunderbolt, isn't it? No one's going to say it. Fallon's not even going to save that. Let's not pretend that Fallon is this all-stopping, all-powerful, all-conquering goalkeeper. She conceded 2 goals to Brighton, lest we forget, and we're not very good. So, no, they don't crumble. Liberty knows what she's doing. She's trying to rile me up, and I am going to slightly hesitate. No, they don't crumble without her. And that's the first time she's played back-to-back games in her career at senior level, which I think is that's still quite a lot for someone, a young goalkeeper who hardly plays. So they don't crumble. She's learning as she goes along, and Liberty knows what she's doing. But no, they do not crumble. Fingers can be pointed at the really poor defensive play of Man United.
No, I would tend to agree. And yes, look, of course, maybe she has gone to go and pick up some silverware. But I would still argue that it was the amount of playing time that she was not getting that was her biggest gripe in terms of wanting to leave, rather than it being how successful you can be. It's not like Man United haven't won anything over the course of the last couple of seasons. So, yes and no. In fact, she could have won some silverware had she not been at Spurs, where she couldn't even play in the FA Cup final. So just saying, karma, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. This, very interesting. Harder to usurp Hampton unless you want to write a book, to be fair. Obviously, Kayla Rendell is not going to become the main England goalkeeper. I absolutely understand that. But I said exactly what Sean said. She's an international goalkeeper. It's not like we just picked her up off of, some local academy and said, "Oh, we've lost our goalkeeper. Can you come and play?" She is somebody who has had to play against players of a very high quality. And Kayla Rendell, very good goalkeeper. I've seen her play live, but she's playing against people her same age as her. It's not the same. And you can't, it's apples and oranges for me. Apples and oranges. But there we go. Liberty, any surprises from you from how Manchester United have been performing? People there talking about a small squad. Do you think that they're just having that catch up with them? Do you think it's just an unfortunate couple of games? Is it because they've got too much football to play at the moment? What is it that's caused this little blip for United?
Yeah, I think it just is the unfortunate circumstance of the scheduling, to be honest. I think that if the Manchester derby was not between two really big Champions League games for United, that they'd have more of a foothold in the game and potentially play better, shot on target or something. I think they are just circumstance of how rough the scheduling is at the moment for quite a few teams. Like, look, listen, all three of the Champions League teams have had really hard. Chelsea have had the easiest run of like 4 games, but their 4th game is Barcelona, so that's hard as it is. But Arsenal also had a really tough 2 weeks. I think, especially at this point in the season, when quite a few of your squad would have played the Euros, they're not had much of a break, especially for United, who had the qualifiers to go through. So essentially, United have played 4 extra games on City this season already. It's just a lot, especially when you have a smaller squad. But at the end of the day, it's how United bounce back from this. Obviously, I think United, if you ask them, they would have wanted a win in the derby, obviously, but I think if they go and get something from the Wolfsburg game midweek, then they'll be just as happy, because they would then have had they were on their first 3 Champions League games, and then to get something from the Wolfsburg game, whatever that is, would also be brilliant, especially for their fight to go in the table in the Champions League. So yeah, I think it's scheduling. It's just unfortunate. It's just sort of how the cookie crumbles at points. You get a really rough run of games, and United have had really rough runs of games before. The end of last season, they played Arsenal, City and Chelsea back to back. That is like something you don't wish on your worst enemy. That is really hard. But then you add in the extra games midweek. It's just a lot. And it's just unfortunate. But do I think necessarily a bigger squad would have helped? Yes. But at the end of the day, you have to play what you've got at hand, and what they've got at hand is not the biggest squad in the world. And I think that at its core, this Manchester United team are really good, and they can push City more. I just think it was a bit too much to ask for at the Etihad, like good crowd and stuff, so soon after a really big game at Old Trafford. Yeah.
Reasonable, absolutely reasonable. And obviously the result for Manchester City put them in a good position. Maybe they did, but they didn't surrender their top 3 hopes, because as all of this was going on, the world would have expected Chelsea to narrow that gap back to just the singular points. However, that was not the case. Alyssa Thompson, with what looks to me to be an outstanding goal once again, cuts in from the left-hand side. And at that point, you would have forgiven having their tummies tickled, as you may have expected them to, but they did not. They rolled the whole way over and then commandoed themselves all the way across the line and got an equaliser, which was, I mean, very good, to be fair. We talk about poor defending for United, but there was no defenders pretty much available there for Chelsea on that one, and a great finish. So 1-1, and so it finished. Sean, from your point of view, what is it that's going on here? Because there's part of us that are like Chelsea are on this mythical run at the moment where they just won't lose a game. It's almost reminding me of the Family Guy episode where Brian just keeps on getting shot all the time and he just doesn't die at no point. And that's kind of what's happening here with Chelsea, or like the Monty Python one, the one where he's the Knights and he ends up getting his arm cut off and then his other arm goes and then his leg and he's still saying he can win the fight. And it's crazy. They just don't lose. But they are dropping points at the moment. And if they keep on drawing, that's not going to help, is it?
There's obviously a tendency, and the big story here is Chelsea dropping points and not playing well again. But I do want to praise Liverpool because it's not been an easy start for them. It's been a horrific start to the campaign, but they had a plan. They stuck to it. And apart from starts at both halves, fully deserved that point. Absolutely fully deserved it. They so well structured. Lily Woodham, come on now, Lily Woodham, form. Oh, loves it. I mean, we know she can do special things. I thought she was outstanding yesterday, but we go from it. So Liverpool praise aside, but I think one of the big factors that helped Liverpool so much was the fact that Chelsea look so too structured, too in a comfort zone. Jogging back for the counter. I mean, that Bjorn and Germa partnership is ringing loudly, isn't it? And she was annoyed by Sonia Bonpastor after the game because she didn't even see the press afterwards. And sorry, not going to go see the media afterwards. Poor form. That's really bad. Even when Renee Slagers has terrible losses, she goes and speaks to the media. Come on, Sonia, you're better than that. It's just getting by. I think that's what Chelsea are doing. It's going through the motions. They're not doing enough to try and win the game. We're comfortable here. They seem to... We know what we want to do, but we don't really want to go too much outside of what we're doing. It's very much... Wales manager Rhian Wilkinson said in her opening press conference, however long ago it was, she doesn't like playing football in black and white. She likes football being played in that grey area where players are able to make their own decisions. Players are able to try things out if they think it's going to work. It's that flexibility. But I think Sonia Bonpastor's football at the moment is too black and white. There's no flexibility within this system. The only shining light in it is Alyssa Thompson, who I think is the improvement from her week on week. Like, what a signing she is. Just so exciting. Whenever the ball gets to her, just so exciting. But I think the structure of Chelsea isn't working. She's very much got her favourites, Sonia Bonpastor, and that's not really working out for her either. And yeah, I just want to see... It's like you're crying out for Chelsea because we know they can do it. We know the players can do it. It's like, just give them the licence to do whatever, because they're smart players. They can work out on their own. But yeah, it's just too structured for my liking.
It seems clear to me, Liberty, that the Emma Hayes days are definitely over now. But even though they're over, and what I mean by that is just this swagger almost that Chelsea have. They've not lost the fight and the spirit, but the swagger seems to have gone. They're not wandering around as if they are, the cock of the walk in this case. They're more like, like a grizzly old East End sort of dock worker, I suppose. They're not gonna get knocked over and beaten, but they're not swaggering about. And I mean, you've got to give them credit. I mean, it's 30-something, 36, 37 games unbeaten. It's 34. It'll probably get to 36, 37 now in this lot. So, just underselling it at the moment. But they're doing incredibly well still to not lose, even though they're not necessarily at full pelt. And if that's the case, should the rest of the WSL be worried? Because if they click again, all of a sudden, it could be curtains, surely.
Yes. Once again, I'm going to say in theory, yes, because as Sean said, we know what Chelsea can do. We know the absolute immense amount of talent they possess. But the thing is, we've seen teams finish second in this league purely because they drew one game. I think back to Arsenal 21-22. Sounds about right to me. Maybe it was a different season. But, in the last 5 years, Arsenal finished second purely because they drew one game to Chelsea. Not they drew to Chelsea, but Chelsea won the league. That's what I meant. Not they drew to Chelsea. But that, we've seen teams draw one too many games in this league and finish second. That's the reality of this league at the moment. I think I do genuinely think last season it was completely unprecedented from Chelsea to win it in as many weeks to the end of the season as they did. I don't think we'll realistically see that happen again anytime soon in the WSL. But the thing is, and I think this is the same before anyone comes for me, this is the same, I think, for Arsenal, for United at the moment, for Chelsea, basically anyone in the top, for Spurs as well, anyone in the top 5 who isn't called Manchester City, you have to click quick or there's no point. It's gone, because we don't at the moment have a very big league. Talking at the top of the show about Hamby count 2, winning 13 home games in a league season, but we don't have 13 home games in a league season in the WSL because that's not how big our league is at the moment. So I think that it has to click, basically. Well, we don't have a league game next weekend. It's once again Subway Cup games on a weekend. Woke nonsense. I'm sorry, I'm not having that. But these teams need to click in the last 2 games of 2025 in December, or it becomes untenable at that point. And I once again would like to put out there, I mean Chelsea, I mean United, I mean Arsenal and Spurs. Basically, yeah, any team that are in the top 5 who aren't called Manchester City. But yeah, to answer your actual question about Chelsea themselves, they can do it. And the thing is, they're probably going to get reinforcements in January that will once again look to reinvent them and what they can bring. Players that have different styles of attack, different styles of defending, things like that, that will look to boost what Bonpastor wants. I think at times Bonpastor is quite stubborn in her way of playing football. I thought it at Lyon. And it's quite, not rigid, but quite set in her ways, which I think is fair enough. She's a very successful player, very successful manager. So it's warranted, but I do worry if we've got to the point now where teams in the WSL have figured her out, and if it's a bit stale for Chelsea in attack, as I said in the comments earlier, 1 shot on target in the Chelsea game, in the Liverpool game, Liverpool had 2 shots on target. If anyone has the misfortune of listening to me on a weekend, I constantly go on about Chelsea's inability to finish chances and how many shots they have compared to how many are actually on target, because the difference is astounding. And I think this is quite stark. They had 9 shots, which is probably one of their lowest of the season from my memory, and 1 shot on target and 1 goal. Frank Kirby can only... Frank Kirby? Yeah. No. Faye. Goalkeeper, sorry. We got to get some new names in the WSL. I can't be keeping up with all the Smiths and the Kirbys. It's too much for my brain. But you know, she can only do as much saving as she can. And if you're gonna have one shot on target, you've kind of made it an easy day for her. Faye Kirby, not Frank Kirby. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I think it will happen for Chelsea. Maybe after the international break, maybe come January. But will it be too late at that point? Who knows? And somebody's going to say it. Well, what about Arsenal? Do you? I don't care.
Oh, don't worry, we're going to get there.
Holland looked like a world beater. It's painful to watch. She is. You don't watch Wales. Culture criminal. Pretending Holland's out of nowhere. How dare you? How very dare you? Holland's a class player. Put her in Arsenal. Put her in Chelsea. Arguably, could be one of the very best.
I still love the fact that you've got Holland playing for Wales, England played for England. Those sort of things just cheer me up, really, especially on weekends such as this. Well, listen, the Liverpool-Chelsea one was interesting as well when you were talking about the stats there, Liberty, but also not just one shot on target. They had 3 clear-cut chances. So that's 2 wasteful ones, for sure. And it's interesting you talk about the number of shots compared to shots on target. I talk about this weekly on the United channel as well. And I'm just, it's a frustrating thing to see quite so much wastage. But speaking of wastage, hello, go on.
I just want to put I realise I've said they had 1 shot on target. I want to put it into perspective from a Chelsea point of view. The weekend before, so obviously the London derby with Arsenal, Chelsea had 11 shots, so 2 more than the Liverpool game, and 5 on target. So that's 4 more shots with 2 more. 4 more shots on target with 2 more overall. But there's been other games in the season where it's been even worse than that. Let's see, the London City game. So once again, back one more, 17 shots total for Chelsea, 3 on target. Like this is not a team. This is not the Chelsea we know, and I don't know what is going on to have 3 shots on target, 11 shots off target in the London City game for Chelsea. Like, we obviously Chelsea's next game before the international break is the Barcelona game. We're looking at this, we're going, the defense for the Liverpool goal was really poor from Bright. It's from everyone, but mainly from Bright, because she looks like she was running in slow-mo. And if the attack's not there, Barcelona will once again just run through Chelsea if they perform like they did yesterday. And I wonder at points when Chelsea look unlike themselves if those 2 Barcelona games from last season really took it out of them more than they sort of let on, because it was a really harsh goal score to be the wrong side of. It's really hard, and I wonder if it's sort of weighing on them a bit more than they would like it to, or that they will obviously ever make out to. They'll never say, yes, oh my God, we think about the Barcelona result all the time, because that's just not professional. But I do wonder if that is weighing a bit heavier on the mind than they would want it to, especially when you put into consideration that, the final, Arsenal kept a clean sheet against Barcelona. And, Sean, I don't know if you know this, we actually did win the Champions League, Arsenal. Just putting that out there.
Wow. Well, I know what's going to come up in the private chat now. So whilst Sean is
I care. Don't want a Champions League. I'm happy with mid-table, thanks. Banging on about it.
Well, as we all know, that is the place to be. But listen, it was a good point as far as Liverpool are concerned. For Chelsea, wasn't the most helpful, but it does put them just 3 points behind City. So still very much, as they were saying in the chat, very much catchable. It's by no means a fatal injury, but it's, just consistent in terms of the results that they have had so far. Let's just pop into a couple of things that have been put into the chat. To be fair, you don't get too many of them at the Etihad, so I'll be surprised if there's any of them in here, but you never know. We'll see what happens there. And this one, I've been called a Facebook mum. Like, I've been called a lot of things in my life, but like a Facebook mum is not a simile that I ever thought I would be caught up with. But there you go. The boss has spoken. What a guy. What a guy. So thank you very much for that. But yeah, speaking of wastage, that was a bit of a waste, to be fair. So, right, whereabouts are we? So, like I say, big result there. You would have then thought that with Chelsea not quite closing the gap as the way they would have wanted to with City, it was then the chance for Arsenal to be able to get above Manchester United, and it just didn't really happen, did it? Because of a goalless draw in a tough game. It's a North London derby, so we're going to give them that one. They're never easy, but I have got to say here, they didn't seem to create a huge amount, even though there was lots of shots. Only 4 on target, you did mention. But I'm more intrigued, Sean, as to what you can tell me about this person in goal, because Sky Sports and the lineups will tell us that that's Lisa Kopp, but I'm not convinced. I think that's either the Lone Ranger or Zorro. So who was that in goal, and how they managed to repel Arsenal there? Because absolutely nothing. So it could have been Gandalf, to be fair. You shall not pass was definitely yelled out at one point. What a result that is as well for Spurs, and it's thrown a complete spanner in the works.
My favourite thing about this, Barry, is the fact that you're surprised. Because I think you might be one of the only people who are surprised that Arsenal have failed to win yet again. I like how we're trying to talk about this game. What happened? Nothing happened. It was terrible. It's terrible. Of course, it didn't have anything to do. Oh my God! So again, we'll focus on Arsenal because Arsenal being rubbish is a story. But Tottenham, I implore, if anyone can read the Meg Feringa piece on Tottenham that she did last week, please do, about how the team have changed under Martin Ho and everything. What a job he is doing. That is an unbelievable job. I think a lot of people wrote them, including myself, wrote them off at the start of the season, but they play a very solid brand of football. I can look at Tottenham and say, that's a Tottenham team. And I don't think you've been able to say that for, well, at least a season. Last season was terrible, but no, they all work for each other. They know the plan. They know how to nullify teams, and he's doing a phenomenal job, Martin Ho. So full credit to Spurs, because they are now a difficult team to beat. Oh, Arsenal. It's gone to a stage where I'm starting to feel sorry for them, Barry, and I know that's quite, it's bad if I start to feel sorry for Arsenal. We talk about Sonia Bonpastor being a bit stubborn. Oh, Renee Slagers. Is Russo a 10? Anyone know if Russo's a 10? Can I tell you she's not? Russo's not a 10. Why you keep playing Russo and Blackstenius together? We'll come to you in a minute, because I know you'll have a lot to say about this. That's fine. McCabe, look, she has her good and bad days, but come on. And we go back to what Arsenal is. And I put a TikTok about this a couple of days ago. Arsenal are too nice. Everything's nice. Everything's nice and fluffy. We care about everyone, Look at our great players. Look what they do in the communities, and all credit to them. They are wonderful, wonderful people. But as footballers, you've got to let go of the past. So they've been there 10 years. No one stays 10 years anywhere. You look at who's out of contract at the end of the summer, and my God, there are a lot of them. Off the top, you've got Catley, Cooney Cross, Ford, McCabe, Zinsberger, Cadena, Fox, Blackstenius, there's a couple more. And I'm sorry, but if you don't think at the end of the season, right, new change, new chapter, clean slate, let's rebuild properly. Because if they're going to offer the likes of McCabe, Catley, Ford, Zinter, all the players, if they're all going to offer them all new, Palova's another one, if they're going to offer them all new contracts, where are you going? Like, what is your plan? And I think questions need to be asked at every level of club, not just Slagers, because I think Slagers getting in for a lot of stick here. And part of it, rightly so, because, you know, the substitutions that she made, Mead as well, thank you, Alan. The substitutions she made against Bayern, dreadful. They were 2-0 up and they lost 3-2. I think the system is very samey. Why do you keep playing Caldente in a deeper role? Just no. Like, come on. Caldente is good when she's further forward. She's not a box-to-box midfielder. That's Kim Little's job. And the fact that you're relying on a 35-year-old nearing the end of the career, still, it's like Wales and Jess Fishlock. It's like, we don't want to let go of her, but we know for the good of the future, we've got to move on without her. And that's what Arsenal, for the good of the future, need to let go of a few players. And need to say, thank you for your service. It's time for us to move on. And it's all very nicey nice, but I am not surprised that they couldn't beat Tottenham Hotspur.
Well, that's absolutely reasonable. I mean, I was surprised. I'm pleased you're loving it, Connor. Yes, the dynamic really is starting to come along now, which is really, really good. So we're very pleased about that. Just before I throw Liberty under the bus here on this one, I just wanted to respond to this one because Sipaway, I've seen you through lots of things, both for United and for this one. So the answer to the question is the emotions are still there. I'm still angry. We try very hard not to make this channel very Manchester United centric. Sometimes perhaps too much, because I don't allow too much conversation on United over this side, really, because there's a whole channel dedicated to them. And the world knows that I feel a little bit like Jeff Stelling in that respect. The world knew he supported Hartlepool, so if he cheered them in the middle of Soccer Saturday, they just let it slide because they knew that. My emotions are still there, but equally, this channel is very much supposed to be around people talking professionally and, you know, using our head rather than our heart. And so the argument I would say to you on that one is that I use my heart more often than not when I'm over on All for United, although I will try and engage my head at some points as well. But over here, it's very much using my head where possible and not letting my heart rule. Speaking of our heart ruling, Liberty, you had a lot there that you wanted to respond to Sean about. So do feel free to jump in on your responses to that. And also, perhaps you could mention this for Couture as well. What are your thoughts on how Claire Wheatley is getting on?
I'll start with Wheatley because it's right there. I don't think Claire Wheatley has been very competent at her job for a long time now, and I think that Arsenal as a football club, and I think that this across both men and women's, as a fan of both sides of this football club, I think at times they've had people in very high positions at the club who were not right for the football club, and they've let them hang on a bit too long. And we saw, a similar sort of positioning on the men's side have a changeover recently, the last year, and it come up quite fruitful in transfer windows. So I think it probably is time that Arsenal move on from her. I also have issues with things she's said and done in the past that I won't get into, but if you want to look it up. It's there on the internet in black and white. You can find it quite easily. So yeah, I think it's probably time to move on. Thank you for your service, but like, you just outgrow people, and I think that Sean said that Renee's getting a lot of the slack, but I think that there is a sense of Wheatley and other people higher up want a lot more from Slagers in transfer windows and stuff that she just doesn't want to be a part of. She very much is a manager who just wants to manage her team and the game. She doesn't really want too much of a say over transfer windows, who gets signed where, when, and how. That's not really her style. She's quite Dutch in that way, and probably a bit Swedish as well. And so I think that she doesn't want necessarily as much hand on those kind of things that is expected of her than than Jonas had, or for example XYZ. So I think it's probably time to move on from Wheatley. Thank you for your service, but you know, something's got to give. And I don't, and also I think you asked earlier, Renee out. I said no. I don't think that is the right option. I think we see in men's football, and I think I'm almost certain I've said it before, we see in men's football all the time, if something goes wrong, get rid of the manager. Get rid of the manager, no matter how good they are. Like, genuinely, how really good managers can be in the men's game, get rid of them. It's not working, so they must be the issue. I do not think Renee Slagers is the issue here. I think that there is other issues going on, and it's all coming down on her because she is the manager at the end of the day. But I don't think that getting rid of her changes the issues. Oh, that's great for Tim Stillman, but unfortunately I'm Liberty Simons and I'm not Tim Stillman. He can say whatever he wants, but I'm a different person. Okay, right, here's my answer to the Renee out saga. Who else are you saying we should sign as a manager? I know Sean has his options. He's made them clear before, but I've had issues with those as well. But who else in women's football who has an actual say in women's football, who has shown that they are a good manager, would you get? Don't make me laugh. One other than I think Sean would barf.
Hey, she's not going to lower herself like that. Come on now. She's not going to lower herself.
Who else genuinely are you saying we should sign instead? Because I can't name a single other person who I genuinely think, no, like, come on, guys. Genuinely, be so serious. If she got fired from Aston Villa, she's not good enough for Arsenal. Anyway, back onto the game. Connor, shut up. Don't.
Hey, he's higher up in the table. He's doing a better job.
I've had. Anyway, on to the actual game, because this is getting a bit silly now.
You asked the questions, to be fair.
Yeah, I did this to myself. I want to start with saying some praise for Spurs. Kop was very good. The real winners of this North London derby. If Renee used ChatGPT, I would actually just scream, like, what are we doing here? I want to give some praise to Spurs. Kop was brilliant. I think the real winners here is the Netherlands, because both of their keepers kept a clean sheet, but their first and second choice kept a clean sheet in this game, which doesn't happen very often. Like, to have genuinely a number one and number two go against each other, genuinely, just on record, doesn't really happen that often. So they are the real winners here. But yeah, she was brilliant. So you're saying people who are under contract, right, at this point, and I just don't see a world where, yes, in theory, brilliant manager, but
well, technically, so Sneggers. He's under contract too.
But can I just, by the way,
Villa aren't going to give up their manager just because Arsenal come knocking.
Why can't Arsenal go out? Why do you have to go and get a free? Go out.
Because are you telling me that Villa are going to look at the really good place they are in and just going to go, yeah, just give up our manager, actually, because Arsenal come knocking?
So give them money to convince them. It's not like you're poor.
They're just not going to do that. Villa have already been in such a poor position that they finally get some form under her, and they're just not. There's no way, no amount of money lets them do that.
Like a big club, go and get whoever you want, pay whatever you want. You're not Brighton. You've got money. You've got ambition. Go and spend the money on a competent manager. Can
I just ask something? Is Chelmer's keyboard on like permanent caps lock? I feel like I'm being shouted at like constantly today. I'm not talking anymore about Renee Slagers. Let's talk about the game, because we will be here for the next 3 hours without actually talking about any football. Oh, hi, Freya. Brilliant timing. I also thought, I put it in the chat, I thought Vinberg was really good. I'm not just saying that because she used to play for Hammarby. This is probably her best performance I've seen of her in a Spurs shirt since she joined them 2 years ago now at this point. I think she is. I did actually. I think that Tilly has done really well under Martin Ho. She's been given a bit of a different role than she was given under Wilhelm. Sorry, for a second I couldn't remember his name. She's been given a different role, but I think she did it really well yesterday. I think that her drives forward through midfield were really good, really disrupted for Arsenal, especially when you then have Fubimoy just sat on Tamberg, which I think was the point, and also she did decently well. I didn't have an issue with that, but when you have that sort of dynamic and then Tilly running through midfield, it's quite hard to deal with. You don't really know who to go for, who to go under. And I think she did really well. And I think that there was a clear difference in Spurs' attack when Vinberg went off. I realise I'm giving praise to all the Swedes and Uncle Tony's not even here. I just realised I was thinking it was a bit quiet. But from an Arsenal point of view, I think Kyra Cooney-Cross was really good. I think she had a slightly deeper role as almost just a 6, which we haven't necessarily seen. I'm also not Jamie Spanger. I am merely Liberty Simons, and as much as I love and respect my friend Jamie Spanger, I'm still not her. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I haven't got a mask on where I'm gonna suddenly appear as Jamie Spanger. I thought Kyra was good, and I thought that the changes at halftime were really good in a week where we have criticised, we as in the media and Arsenal fans, criticised some substitutes from Slegers. Bringing Olivia Smith on was brilliant. I think the battle between her and Amanda Nilden was really fun, and it was right in front of me, so I was like, this is fun. I think Olivia Smith links up really well with Emily Fox, who I thought also had a decently good game. And I also think that bringing on Frida in midfield was also very good. And here is when I'm going back to Sean's argument from earlier. Yes, Alessia Russo isn't a 10. Yes, I can tell you that for a fact and certain. But the thing is, when you don't have Kim Little, you need slightly more security in midfield defensively than what Frida gives. Frida is a 10 and she really likes being essentially the second striker up top. And when you don't have Kim Little, who will kind of do the more defensive work, you kind of need somebody like Russo in midfield who is happy to track back and do some of the defensive work. That is who she's always been. And I think that it is clear why it's going in that direction. But I don't agree with it. I don't like it. And I think it was quite obvious that when Frida come on, there was a spark of a spark and what was the word I'm trying to find? A spark and some life. There we go. That's what. Thank you. Thank you. Some life into the midfield that potentially wasn't there before because Russo was doing so much going the other way. I don't know if that's because there's a shift in Spurs in the second half, but it happens. We just need to start, not being scared to shoot. I had criticisms of Chelsea's shooting against Liverpool, but we are just as bad. Why are we taking 2 extra touches to pass it to somebody else for no reason when you can just have a shot off? And I think there's a moment Olivia Smith in the second half breaks down the wing, goes into the box, cuts in, and she just attempts to take a shot on from a decently rough angle. She tries to go over Kopp's head, and Kopp does save it, and it was a really good save. But that's the sort of thing that you need to have that we just, at points, nobody else other than her is really doing. Even someone like Chloe Kelly's not doing it. And I know she's carrying an injury, and that's why she's not getting as many minutes. But that's something you expect somebody like that to do. We don't necessarily expect it from Caitlin Ford or Beth Mead to do the same sort of thing, but you do need that because just sort of passing it in and hoping that somebody gets on the end of it doesn't always work. Shock. And so I think that, look, Olivia Smith, I wonder if it's a fitness thing because she did come out of Canada camp the last international break, which was not that long ago, with an injury. So I wonder if she's not fit to play 70 minutes yet. But I really want her to be starting. I'm going to be really honest. Look, we don't have a game at the weekend. And I really hope she starts against Real Madrid because I think that is quite important. What else? I feel like that's sort of it. What thoughts on McCabe getting subbed? I don't think she was subbed because she picked up a card. Yesterday, I don't think she was subbed because she picked up a card. I think she was subbed because she wasn't doing very well. I think Taylor Hines has really shown that she's a really good fullback, and fully deserves a place in this squad. She is not there to make up numbers and be a be a bench option in case somebody gets injured. She is making it's quite her own, and she definitely didn't have as much to do as Emily Fox yesterday because we looked to build on the right instead of the left when Olivia Smith came on. But I think that Taylor Hines has shown since she came to Arsenal that she's a really good player. And oh, you've taken your caps lock off. That's a bit sad. I was enjoying being shouted at. But yeah, I think that Taylor Hines is making a case to start more games. Obviously, she started several games this block, but I would put her starting more. Once again, anyone who's had the unfortunateness of talking to me on a weekend, I don't think McCabe this season has been good at all. And I had questions about McCabe in September. I was actually saying, when are we going to talk about McCabe? And I actually got shouted out for it. You want to talk about McCabe, but she's not the issue. But she is the issue because she's one of those players that Sean was talking about before that've been here for 10 years. And at this point, she's playing like somebody who has no idea who the Arsenal are. I've never seen her be this poor, and I don't know what has to give. I don't know why she's playing this poor. Is it because she's just got a hangover of like playing loads of football? But yeah, I think that Taylor Hines has made more than enough reason to be the starter in this squad, and I'd like to see it more. And yeah, I think that's it.
That seems reasonable. I would just say lots of good leaders do that. You know, Katie McCabe's way of playing isn't necessarily to lead by example. It's to, rough up the other players and get in and around them like that. Very Roy Keane-esque, I suppose, in that respect. Go on, Lib.
Yeah, I just want to say, McCabe's style of leadership has always been passion first. She is a very passionate person. I think partly that's her personality. Also, that's because she's Irish. The Irish are very passionate people. I've never met an Irish person who wasn't, 200% passionate all times. And I agree with Barry. Like, you don't have to be like picture perfect, like little neat box kind of captain to lead a team. You can have a passionate side and have passion more than that to show that you actually care. Like, you have to care about the team you're playing for, and you can have that in abundance as a captain. Maybe my question is, does she care anymore? Is that what we're seeing, a missing piece of her passion for Arsenal that is then making these performances poor and her getting subbed off because she's playing poorly? I think that the Chelsea substitute is because she was on the yellow and she was getting rolled up with the ref. But I don't think that was the same yesterday. I think that she was just playing poorly, and I think she's losing a bit of the passion maybe that we have come to associate so much with Katie McCabe.
Maybe. And yes, she does have quality too. I would suggest a retirement home would probably be the answer to that question that you're asking there. So there we go. Well, that's Arsenal, and that pretty much takes the top half of the table as it was. I will just say, from a neutral's point of view, it's wild to me, absolutely wild that and you might want to cover your ears now, Sean, that just months after winning the Champions League, people are calling for a manager to be removed. I can't.
No, right. You stop there.
I will not stop there.
No. Because do you remember who won the Premier League with Leicester? Do you remember Leicester winning the Premier League?
I do.
Do you know what happened to him?
Yeah, they sacked him the season after. They shouldn't have done. We might have won it again.
Sorry, there's no room for sentiment. This one's all
It's
right.
not about
Arsenal and Nice.
sentiment. If you are able, all right, my turn. If you are able to mastermind winning a Champions League on a season when nobody expected them to do it, I feel like that you earn capital in the bank. It's not about sentiment; it's about capital.
Right. Okay. Now we're going to go on to issue 2.
You end up being given some time. It's not like they're out of it. They're still in with a chance in the league. They're still in with a chance, even if it is just top 3. They're still in Europe. I don't know that I can.
Right. And you know what? I'm going to suggest it, and Liberty knows I'm right when I say this. That Champions League was a little lucky. Can we say that?
Yeah, it was lucky, but we still did it.
Have you ever seen Leon play defensively that bad and make 3 mistakes in the game before? No.
Yeah, actually, I have. It was the last time they played Arsenal at Palmer when we won 5-1.
Arsenal were not the best in Europe. I'm sorry. Get it. She's having
we are actually on paper. That's how you become the best team in Europe. You win the Champions League, and if you're going to try and tell me that any other team was okay, you're going to try and tell me that we got lucky. But on the day in Lisbon, not a single player for Barcelona turned up other than Aitana Bonmati.
Yeah, that's fine.
The entire Arsenal squad gave
I give you the fine, and I give you the fine. The rest of the journey. Oh dear me, that is lucky. And there's nothing wrong to say. You got lucky throughout the campaign to get to the finals. Nothing wrong with that. But now we're seeing
that doesn't make you win the Champions League. You could be lucky. You could be lucky your whole season, and then if you don't turn up in the big game, you lose it. That's not luck. That's you didn't turn up on the day. You can't get lucky in a final. That you have to just play good football, and that's what Arsenal did that day in Lisbon. They played good football. Was it pretty?
As well.
No, actually, it was kind of boring at points. But they did it, and they took their one chance that they did, and they won the game. I'd
argue as well. You're going to go through these runs. This is the thing about cup football, especially when it comes to the knockout stages. It's not always going to necessarily be the best side that. I mean, look, we've got to take it back to last season. Chelsea are a better side than Manchester United more often than not. But that one game in the FA Cup semi-final, we managed to beat them for the first time in our history, and we go on to go and win the FA Cup. So you get these moments. You can call them a fluke, but it doesn't change the fact that she led them to that. And I think that gives her enough capital to not be sacked before Christmas when she's not exactly running them into the ground. She's got some stuff to do. But I would not want to see us jumping into that level.
One name for you, Barry, and I'm glad I game FTW Borough, Roberto Di Matteo.
To me, he's just a guy who scored a goal for Chelsea once. Didn't enjoy that goal in the FA Cup. But there we go. So yes, that's just my personal thoughts. I think that is wild. But there we are. So, lots of people, you've got Kuchia Criminal on your side there, Sean. In fact, you got a standing ovation. I presume it's standing, but it was a lot of claps, so you'd imagine. So, but there we go. And to this bit about esteemed Arsenal, I mean, what you mean by that is just people that got a bit of a platform. That's, it's a very good bit of work there, Kuchia. I can understand what you're getting at there, but it does feel a little bit like you guys are just deflecting because you had a crap result and you need the ability to sort of throw it. Sometimes I wish there were City fans in it, I've got to be honest, because it would be very intriguing to see if that dynamic changed. But there we go. Right, we are an hour in and we've managed to do 3 games. We will bundle these together a little bit. It's a double question for you on this one, Sean. First of all, Aston Villa, poor loss to London City. How do they go from frustrating Manchester United and nicking the 3 points to losing to London City Lionesses there with the sort of smash and grab that they had from close range? And then take us a little bit as well through the Brighton and Leicester game, because having watched through the highlights of that game, some bloody good goals there from Brighton. Some real rockets that were being scored there. Even the last one was, a heck of a shot that required parrying before being put in. So talk to us a little bit about those games, those results. Obviously, you love those because it's all about the mid-table, which, as you say, you really enjoy chatting about. So, yeah, what do you reckon?
I'm just glad we've got to the main event finally. It's not a smash and grab, London City. London City have actually done really well. I've actually built into this WSL season really quite steadily.
Sorry to clarify. When I said smash and grab, I meant the actual goals because they weren't like screamers. They were just like little headers that were close range.
Freya, Freya, there's a phrase. Just got to play better than the ref's ref. And Villa didn't do that, I'm afraid. No, it's fine. I thought London City have built themselves really well into the WSL season. And I think that's a result they've deserved on the road. I think they've been showing that side of them. Even against Chelsea away, I thought London City played quite well. So it's a result that's been coming. And, Villa, you have your good days and you have your bad days. That, I will say it's a bad day for Villa. Freya will blame the referees. That's normally a sign of we didn't play too well. That's all I'll say. Brighton needed that win. I in my head, it was must-win territory because we haven't really been turning up the past couple of weeks. And I thought Leicester were really good that first half, I think. I thought they put in some really good moves together and really worried us. But I'm so pleased how we came through in the second half. The manner of the goals, and to score 4 goals as well, I think it's just a really, really nice way to end. Because we're done with the Subway Cup now. We're done with the Sandwich Cup. We're off now until after international break. Lovely stuff. And guess what? We're not through in the Sandwich Cup, and I praise Dario Vidicic and his team for it. No, and you know what? It's really good to win at the Amex. We've not got a great record at the Amex at all. So to play there and to get a really big win like that, really important. But the one team I did want to talk about, which you did mention, Everton. We need a chat about Everton because they won the opening game and have not won since. And only picking up points here or there. And, start of the season, a lot of us were quite high on Everton because I thought the transfer dealings they'd done were brilliant. Brian Sorensen, I thought, was a really good man. Sippo, if you saw, I couldn't care less about losing to Charlton, I'll be quite honest. It was a very rotated team, so good luck trying to wind me up there. Something's not right with Everton. And, we called about Renee Slagers and her future. I think we need to ask the same questions about Brian Sorensen. Because as much as we all think he's a good manager, results aren't there. They're second from bottom, only a couple of points away from Liverpool. And that's not where we thought Everton would be this season. So really, really worrying about Everton. But fair play to West Ham at the same time. Like Liverpool, we said it's been a really rough couple of months for them. But no, fair play to them. That was a really good win at home. And that might be a boost for them now for the rest of the season. But Everton, I think we need a chat about because it is quite worrying down there.
Well, Freya's kicking off about this.
Sorry. Can I come back in on that? They're always escorted off the pitch, the officials. It's the same in Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2, WSL 2. So they're always escorted off the pitch. So we're not going to get into that.
Well, there you go. I would say on this one, people talking about it and saying how London City are just a couple of points off the Champions League. Some of us suggested that they might well do incredibly well this season and potentially get there. Whilst everybody else was sitting there talking about how Everton are going to be, the surprise packages, I distinctly remember being sat here at the beginning going, London City might ruffle a few feathers in this league. And if people continue drawing and dropping points in the manner and the fashion that they currently are, we very well could see London City put a little bit of a attack onto the top 3. I wouldn't expect it, but we could. Go on.
But this is the mid-table. Like, everyone takes points off each other. And if you've got a nice run where you're playing mid-table teams, you can really steal a march on everyone else. And I think London City were unlucky in the fact the first 2 games were Arsenal and then Manchester City. And then Man United soon after. So it can get quite perceptive when you play all the top teams quite quickly, one after another. By the way, the comments about not playing Gago is criminal. Gago's injured. That's why she didn't play yesterday. She picked up a knock by all accounts. And yeah, she is rumoured to want out of Everton in January. I think if Gago leaves, then that's a tricky one for Everton to handle.
I am going to say I do think a few people thought Liverpool were going to be where they are. Emily, I'm afraid on that one. I don't think you did, but I think a few of us did think that they might well be in and around the bottom. But in the same way that Chelsea fans are saying they're only 3 points off of City, you're only 2 points off of West Ham and 3 points off of Everton. So still all to play for down there as well. Freya's not having it. She definitely thinks that there is more to it. And apparently Gago is rumoured to be leaving Everton in the January window, which would be a shame indeed. And obviously, how would I feel if they finished above United? Annoyed, obviously, because it probably means we finished fourth, would be the answer to that question. Listen, as long as we haven't had Liverpool or Brighton finish above us, I can probably just about stomach it. You'd be insufferable, Sean. Insufferable. I wouldn't be able to see you for at least 6 months.
It's nice that you think of Brighton on a similar level. That's quite nice. That's quite small club mentality, though, Barry.
I have a very small club mentality when I'm over here. So, Liberty, same sort of question to you. I wasn't going to throw out the West Ham Everton bit too much, just purely because that was the last game, really, and it was, trying to create a little bit of a buzz around the bottom of the table, even though there's literally very, very little jeopardy indeed. But yeah, the final 3 games of the weekend: London City, Villa, and Everton. Interesting results.
Yeah, interesting. I don't think I necessarily saw London City lose. Sorry, let's start that again. Didn't see Villa losing by that scoreline to London City. There we go. That's the right way around. We as football fans have been quite complimentary of Villa's defense and goalkeeping this season. And so I generally for that, how well they've done, I didn't see that scoreline coming, but very well done to London City. I think that, look, everyone being surprised that London City are where they are, as if that wasn't like the entire idea for this team this season. It's surprising to me, because like the entire point of this team coming up was going to be, we are going to go as high as possible, as fast as possible. So it's not surprising. And when you compare the amount of money they spent and the players they got in compared to other mid-table teams, it's not surprising. Good win for, who am I going to talk about next? West Ham. Brilliant for West Ham. I was on my way to Leighton to watch the North London derby, so I wasn't watching the game itself because I get really bad motion sickness, guys, and I was in a car. Sue me. But sometimes when I'm not watching a game and I'm just getting the notifications for goals, I start wondering if at one point they're gonna it's gonna be like 1-0 and then it's gonna be like score corrected. Like, I do wonder sometimes if that's like what's gonna happen, because you never know with these apps. They're quite inconsistent, especially with women's football. But when it was like 3-0 West Ham, I was like, oh my god, West Ham, what's going on? Like, this is brilliant. But yeah, I think a lot of people have said that, I think this for both West Ham and Liverpool, I'm going to be really honest, they've had, the results haven't gone their way, but at times, I'm going to repeat that one more time, at times, the football was not that bad. Yes, there have been really bad games for both teams, but it's not been like just really poor the entire time. They've just been unlucky at points. So for West Ham to get 3 points, brilliant. Worried for Everton, worried for Leicester, but I've also been worried for Leicester since the beginning, because it a decent window, then you get rid of the manager for whatever reason, and then it's like basically try and start from scratch again with like about a week until your opening game of the season. It's hard. That's rough, but I'm still really worried about them. I thought that it would, the Chelsea game, the 1-0 Chelsea win, I thought, okay, maybe they're going to frustrate some teams further down more than they have, but I'm worried, especially because they are the only team now working on men's championship money. That I think as an underrated aspect, underrated in a bad way, of Leicester at the moment. They are the only team who do not have a Premier League budget. Whether the teams who have a Premier League budget want to use said Premier League budget is a different matter, but they just don't have it at their disposal, and there is a big difference between a Championship men's budget and Premier League. So yeah, I'm worried about them. And do I have anything else really to say?
No, I would quite agree with where you are. That seems pretty reasonable. It's probably about time we pushed on a little bit, but we do have a couple of questions within the chat, so it's reasonable that we answer them because they are very involved all the time. So we'll go in this order to Liberty, Barry and Sean. One transfer in January to move the needle on your club. So Liberty, who would you be bringing in to move the needle? I presume she means positively.
Yeah, I'm going to take this positively because otherwise, that's a really depressing question. I'm going to say,
just while she's thinking, for anyone who's not sure, who's just tuned in, Liberty's an Arsenal fan as well.
Thank you.
So she will be picking somebody to move the needle on the Arsenal.
I'm going to say, I'm trying to pick a midfielder. I'm going to say Emily Geramo from Hammarby. A deeper midfielder. Oh my god, so surprising, I know, guys, but also I could have chosen the entire squad. But I'm going to say Emily, a defensive midfielder, maybe an 8, depending on how you look at things. And very young, 23, maybe 24, somewhere there. And quite Little-esque, in my opinion. I've said this on several... That's funny. That's a funny joke. I've said it several times, quite Little-esque. And yeah, I think I would go for her from Hammarby.
There we go. Very interesting one. To be honest, when I was looking at mine, I just think, and again, for the uninitiated, we're talking about United here. The one thing we've never had or never appeared to have is a really clinical goal scorer, somebody you can rely on to get goals sort of week in, week out. I don't think you say that. The face, it doesn't matter what I say, it upsets Sean. It's and he can't hide it. It's just immediately, I feel like I let him down every time I speak.
Well, you took our one. And our one is meant to do all the different
because she's just been so stellar. Just 20 goals a season, hasn't she? Not.
And as I was going to say, it does make you wonder if it is the way in which United play and the way in which they attack that means that we don't get these strikers that are prolific in that respect, or whether or not it's just that, I don't know, whether it's the pressure, a step up, whatever it might be. But they're just not scoring it. So I would love to see people that we know can. So somebody like a Sam Kerr or a Bunny Shaw, somebody who we know is a regular goal scorer, to see whether or not if they were to come into the squad, they would. I feel like I've got to do this just so I can't see what he's saying to me. The face is so off-putting. Just do that. So that would be one thing that I would wonder. But I also really want a player who can help us to unlock the low block. I think that's where we really struggle. You play against a side like Aston Villa, City, after they'd scored a few goals, they just sat back. They didn't need to worry too much about attacking. And we just don't seem to have the brains, for want of a better term, for being able to play the ball quick around those sort of pockets of space. So I think for the moment, I would say Bunny Shaw, because she is just a fantastic goal scorer and I would love to have her in there. And I think that we need that sort of thing. and I'm struggling at this moment in time to think of a player who would be able to help us to unlock that space. So there we go. Sean, who would you pick for Brighton?
Well, if we're doing unrealistic transfers, I'll take Pateos and Bonmati at the Albion, please.
Well, I mean, to be fair, she didn't say realistic, did they? So
I took it as granted. But Brighton need a striker because we've lost Adjumang for the season. So I would like either Selina Serci from Hoffenheim, or I would like Ellen Vankerheim from Hammarby.
There you go. 4.
I would like to say something on this. I'm not going to argue with Sean. Absolutely, your opinion is what you want. If anyone, I know Sean has already read it, but I'm just going to shout them out quick. The Brighton Supporters Club, the She-Gulls, brilliant name, actually wrote a piece about players from across the world who they think Brighton could go for to replace Michelle Adjumang, obviously because she's out injured now. It's a brilliant read. It's a really brilliant read from the She-Gulls. And even if you aren't a Brighton fan, just read it. The amount of research from across the world they've put in is really brilliant. And there's players in there that I had never heard of, but they've really done some really good detail research into that. It's really brilliant. So yeah, if you haven't read it, just go and read it. It literally will take like 2 minutes of your day, but it's really good.
There you go. Well, you apparently Superway was being realistic and has understood how you need to be very clear with me on those sorts of things. So we'll fly out. But again, United were in for Gorpset. That would have been somebody who I think would have been another good potential one, but she's decided that she wants to go and see Martin Ho over at Spurs. And when they're getting those sorts of results against Arsenal, you can't really blame her, can you? Listen, let's move on to Couture's question, which was one piece of advice you would give to your respective managers. So we'll go the other way around. So, Sean, what advice would you give?
I would tell Dario, just put Kafaji somewhere in that forward line and let her do whatever the heck she wants. Because when she's given that license, she's been terrific so far. She's not started the last couple, so just give Kafaji the license to do whatever she wants because she's so good.
Okay. I think my advice, I think there could be so many bits for Martin Skinner, but mine, based on previous games at the moment, would be that when you've got such a, I don't want to say threadbare because it makes it sound like we're Cinderella. Once you've got squad depth that runs out quite quickly, I would be much more willing to give my youngsters an opportunity, especially in games where you're maybe 3-0 down, for players like Amaro Griffiths, who sat there on the bench and could he agrees with one. That's all you got to do is bring up Welsh positively and it works. But genuinely, the number of times we just don't bring somebody on, and we should. So for me, my advice would be just give them a bit of trust. You never know, they might surprise you. Liberty, sorry, I forgot there.
Sorry, I was waiting. I was waiting for the go ahead. I don't know.
Could have all night, to be fair. We could come up with a list of 10 for Arsenal.
I could go like bang, 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 bang. I'm going to say,
ignore the haters.
Yeah, don't listen to the outside noise.
Please leave now.
I'm going to say, don't be afraid to...
Sounds like a start of a song.
Let me get my microphone out. Don't be afraid to try something new. And I don't mean that in a way of throw everything out that you want your team to play. I mean that in the sense of like a couple changes at the beginning of a game. I think, it's all well and good bringing on players at halftime to change the game, but like, don't be afraid to try something new from the beginning of a game. Don't like wait. They're like, if people like know Arsenal like fans or like funny things, like it's always like second half funnel, like always play better in second half. Don't wait until that point. Like try something new in the first half. And if it doesn't work, you can go, look, we tried something, it didn't work, and go back to what you know. But like, you never know unless you try. So just like try something new, whether that's different players starting, whether that's different attacking patterns, whatever that looks like for Arsenal. Just don't be afraid to try it, because we have the talent to do it. Just try. Like it's not going to hurt you. I promise, babes, it's not going to hurt.
I mean, it could hurt, but yeah, let's hope it doesn't. Okay. And then finally, I suppose, because it just ties together nicely, we should finish off the WSL, going all the way back to the very beginning of this conversation, which was where Sky Sports Halo was mentioned. Now, listen, it's going to come as a shock, maybe a surprise to many of you, but my 43-year-old self does not spend so long looking around social media that I can be claiming to be any type of social media guru for the youth of today in it, bruv. But initially, and so I may need some explaining here. Initially, and I didn't go and watch the channel or see too much from it, but initially, it didn't sound as bad as people were making it, in terms of it just seemed to be a women's sports space. So can you explain what was so bad about this channel? Because, and I'll go back for the brief bit of context from my point of view on that, is that when Joey Barton was off being his usual misogynistic self, and he was talking about how, women's football's getting forced down people's throats, they were talking a lot about the potential of, just having like a Sky Sports WSL, something like that, so you get women's football and women's sport on one channel. Like, what difference that makes? Like, I don't even look for the channel now. I just look to see what's on and then push the button. But, some people need this sort of thing. I presume it wasn't this then, the ability to be able to see that. So what was so wrong?
I'll go first. It wasn't the page at first. The page itself was quite confusing, because lots of people thought it was going to be just about women's sports, and it was going to be WSL was going to be netball, the rugby, like women's sport. It wasn't. It was for women in sport, which is where the issue comes in, because the content put out and the way it was branded was the issue. Because basically everything was really sexist and really patronizing. It was a lot of trying to force popular culture and like internet funny bits into sport. And so there was like, I think the worst one, and the one that a lot of people picked up on, was there was a video of an Erling Haaland goal. And for people who don't know men's football, he's a really good striker. He plays for Man City. I know we don't have many Man City fans here. Him scoring a goal after a mad run against Bournemouth. That was the video itself on the TikTok, and the words on the screen as such said, when the hot girl walk and matcha combo hits, or something like that. Barry's gone, I don't know what any of those words mean. Rightfully so, keep it that way, Barry, for your own sake. But essentially that is sort of like an internet TikTok funny haha culture thing that was like really popular. Like, people would be like, going on a hot girl walk essentially is just going on a walk. And matcha is a green drink that tastes like poo. It's disgusting. Sorry if you drink it, it's not for me. But it was like, that was like an internet thing, and they put it on this video of Erling Haaland scoring a goal, and it just didn't make sense. It was patronizing because it was in pink sparkly text, and was very clearly trying to force like TikTok culture things into women's football in places that just didn't meet, and it was just like quite sexist and an issue. And there was like more videos. There was one about a F1 driver's fiance, and it like reinstated this stereotype that people or women are into sport, and especially men in sport, purely because they find them attractive or they want to be their girlfriends and wives, which I think was something we left behind in the 2000s, but apparently not, according to Sky. But it was trying to basically dumb down sport across men and women's sport to help women understand it. When if a woman wants to understand sport, she'll just understand it. You don't need to dumb it down and make it really sexist for her to understand it. But that was where it clashed, and people were like, "This is really quite grim." The bio of the account and the tweet that Sky put out promoting it was Sky Sports Little Sis.
Now, I was going to bring that up, actually. I'm going to jump in because initially, and again, a lot of people took that negatively, but then there was part of me that's like, well, you've got Sky Sports, which has been around for donkey's years. So if they do produce something new, it is going to be the little whatever, isn't it? Because
but you're being quite literal about it. But the thing is, I'm not actually a little sister, so I can't speak from experience because I'm the oldest of 3. But I promise you, if I went to my actual little sister and said, "You're just the little sister of Liberty," or the little sister of, I also have a brother, the little sister of Harry, she would not be happy. Oh, she would not be happy. She'd bite your head off, because it's quite demoralizing for you to be like, you are just an attachment to somebody, and you're lesser than them because you're younger, or you're less experienced in life. And I think that's what people had the issue with. Because yes, quite literally, Little Sis is technically the right term because it's a new, younger page compared to Sky Sports. It's this massive, big brand, but the connotations of being inexperienced, younger, and then pair that with the pink sparkly text and the matcha and all that was just really quite grim, and yeah, so people just weren't happy. Just purely because of the kind of connotations that brings. And basically they're saying that women in sports are just an accessory to men in sports, and they aren't there in their own right, a few feet to stand on, which I think is just really what people had an issue with. And it's now been taken down, and they say, we're going to review and try and figure out what happens next, because at the end of they're trying to come from a good place. Sky are trying to create a space where women feel welcomed in sport, because historically, as the only woman on the panel, I can tell you for a fact and certain, historically and still currently, we as women do not always feel welcome in sport. Women's sports is different, and women's football is different because we actually make up the majority. But in the global landscape of sport, we do not feel welcome, because you're asked, okay, but you like football, okay, what did Bukayo Saka eat for breakfast this morning? What's his grandma's name? Don't care. So they're trying to make a space where women can be welcomed into sport and feel welcomed, but it's just the execution was really, really off tonally to what actually women who are in sport want. They don't want this pinky girlified version of men's sport. They just want sport content that is accessible to both, and for people to not ask them stupid questions when they say they like football or something.
Yeah. Well, that's the point of view from the ladies. What about the gents, Sean? What were you thinking of this debacle?
I echo everything Liberty said. I thought it was so condescending. In essence, I know what they're trying to do. I think the idea is there, but it's just executed horrifically. A good idea, and they picked all about it. It's like, an apprentice task, and when a team's done really, really badly on an apprentice task, when they fail the brief. That's what Sky have done. And I had a lot of messages about it, and it became quite clear to me that none of the people on Sky the talent on and off screen did not know it was coming out until it came out. This was a thing done up at the higher ups of Sky, and no one told anyone about. And yeah, that says a lot in itself. And I just think that, Sky have got the lion's share of stuff, and I do think they do some good things, but we want better analysis. We want nicer kickoff times. We want so many things. I bet more different pundits as well, bringing more pundits, bringing more voices. And this was not what we wanted or needed, to be honest. It was just horrifically done. Took them, if anything, too long to abandon ship on it. And it was only up for 2 days. But yeah, a horrific own goal from Sky, to be honest.
People do score own goals. So there you go. But yes, and I mean, this is a very sad state of affairs, really. But yes, absolutely, across not just football, but all sorts of sports, there are lots of people like this. But the good news is it doesn't exist over here. And of course, Liberty mentions she's the only woman on the panel. We would have had Freya here, but she couldn't be bothered. So that's not what really happened. Just a little gag there. But yes, so we do our very best to try and make sure there's representation, but it is very hard at times to so what did I say? What I said it was a gag. Just joking. Could have been bothered to be here, right? We're in the chat. So it's just because Villa lost. I
was going to say it's quite convenient when Villa lose. She's not on.
Beat Man United. Oh, must come on and talk to Valley. Villa have lost. Thanks. But yeah, so it's a real shame, but it's very difficult sometimes as well to find again women that are in like roles, journalism, that sort of thing that we can get on as well. So that's why we're very lucky to have Freya and Liberty around so regularly, which is great stuff. So there we go. That's that. It's 96 minutes on the boring WSL. We've done incredibly well on that one. There was another half to our thumbnail, believe it or not. And that was about the NWSL because it's the Portland Thorns are gone. We did think that might happen, Liberty. Sorry, but we are there. We're at the final, the championships, and it's a big one. Washington Spirit there again. They were there last season, lost 1-0 to Orlando Pride, but it's Gotham, the side that finished 8th and just about squeaked in. I mean, they can't, can they? Sean's he's going full with McCarthy. They can.
You know what it is? I said about England when England beat Sweden on penalties that they're going to win it. You know when you get a vibe when someone's name's on the trophy. It's what I get with Gotham. It's just something like, oh, it might happen, and just the way everything happened in that game. The fact that Shaw manages to sneak in that free kick. I mean, God knows what happened. And then for Berger to make the save at the end as well. It's just that, it's got their name on it. And I think the Spirit team's a really good team. But I just have a feeling with Gotham. And when you finish 8th, sometimes miracles happen. Sometimes you do get the real fairy tale story. And I feel it with Gotham. I really do.
I just like the name of it. It always makes me think of Batman, and it shouldn't do, but it does. And then it makes me think, is Gotham a real place? And then you realise it's not, of course, it's New York. But it does just kind of, it takes you in. And yes, I feel like I've started a pile on. So she's in the chat because she's a big supporter of the channel. But yeah, she does have her own podcast, believe it or not, where she gets people on as well. So Freya has gone off to go and do that. It finished after we had started, as she says herself. To be fair, she doesn't even need to mansplain for her. There it is. Then she had to eat her dinner and bath a baby as well, which seems quite reasonable because nobody wants a stinky baby. It's no fun. So, they do. They poop all over the place. They don't know what they're doing, honestly. So there we go. Good stuff. Yes, the dark nights will rise. You're not kidding. Liberty, what are you seeing here? Because Spirit did incredibly well to get there again, but can you see them falling at the final hurdle for the second season on the trot?
For the sake of argument, I'm going to say no, and they're going to win it. But yes, Jaden Shaw is an unbelievable player, and also for a player to have so many transfers in 1 year. Like, she started the year in San Diego, then she went to the Courage, and now she's at Gotham for an intra-league record. unbelievable. She's only in her early 20s. She's an unbelievable player. She's going to be a player for the US as a whole, whether you want to take that as the league or the national team, for a long time. She's unbelievable. But for argument's sake, I'm going to say the Spirit will do it. But I think there's like this whole thing of Gotham. Oh, they were the 8th seed. Can they do it from the last place of the? Are we forgetting the quality that Gotham have? We had this conversation last week, and I'm going to reiterate it here because they've done it again. Gotham, unbelievably stacked. Yes, they lost some players at the beginning of the year. They aren't on paper as stacked as they were. They still
But
have
I've got to challenge that. They're that good. How come they finished 8th? This is the bit that I
because they
don't
just
get.
had some bad results during the like normal season that they then sort of, shot themselves in the foot at points. But they still have an unbelievable squad. Also, Rose Lavelle's been injured once again for quite a bit of the season, which I think never helps because, once again, unbelievable player. And also, they didn't have Jaden Shaw all season, so like, who was going to save them when they didn't have her at the beginning of the season? Who knows? Who knows? But the thing is,
Can she be my realistic signing for United?
there you go. I did think one of
realistic?
us would say her, and then none of us did. So, but I will say something on this that is relevant to Gotham and also to Trinity Rodman. The entire point of the salary cap in the NWSL is so that every team has decently even footing in the league. And you don't have one team that basically buy all the talent and run away with it. They aren't just, the US women's national team repackaged in club football. Obviously, that is the point of contention for Rodman at the moment, whether she will stay or whether she will come to Europe, because she can be paid more here because we don't have salary caps in the same way as they do in these states. But the thing is, the reason why Gotham, who have finished 8th, can go to the final is because it's not the same as 1st versus 8th in the WSL. Gotham and Spirit, like, on paper, are quite even squads. If anything, the only 2 teams that made the playoffs that have lesser squads, quote unquote, are Portland and San Diego, and that's purely because Portland have an unbelievable amount of injuries. They have five players off the top of my head out with an ACL injury, and 3 of those have been since the beginning of the season, and then 2 have been later on in the season, in the last 2 months, since the return from the summer break. But the whole point of the NWSL is that basically everyone is decently even, at least in the top 8, maybe more if you go down a bit further, because of salary cap. And it's the reason why the league is as competitive as it is. Obviously, the caveat is that the team that finished first finished 21 points clear. But once again, that's quite unprecedented. That doesn't happen every season. It's not like they do that every single year. So I'm going to say Spirit, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a really good game, and I think it's going to be a close game. Both really good defenses, both really good goalkeepers. So maybe that's where the game is won. The final is won, in the defense, who can hold the other out more, because both have really good attacks as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting final. Yeah.
A couple of quick fire questions for you then on the NWSL. Who do you think has been? I'm going to try and choose my words carefully, but like, which club do you think has been the biggest letdown, or perhaps the most disappointing in terms of the NWSL this season? Who should have done better?
I'm going to say, purely because they had a really good start, the San Diego Wave had a really good start to the season, and then they went on a 4-game losing streak. Sounds like classic Idaval to me, but he sort of came into this league like all guns blazing, had a really good start, and then it fell off a bit, and then just about got through to, not just about got through, but had to fight a bit more than would have been wanted to get to the playoffs, and then to go out when they basically dominated quite large points of that Portland first playoff game. They were quite dominant for pretty much 60 minutes, even though it went to extra time, 60 minutes of the game, they were quite dominant and they still couldn't score. I think, purely because of how they started and then quite literally how they went out, I'm going to say the San Diego Wave.
Sean?
Feels quite harsh to suggest Kansas City, doesn't it? Considering where they were in just one game. But maybe North Carolina. I think a symbol of consistency, always seem to gain to the top 8, to just miss out, quite poor for them. And to some extent, Orlando as well. I know they've got to the semis, but I think if you're 20 points worse off than you were last season, I think something's gone a little bit wrong there. But then again, they could have made the final, and that is the beauty of the playoffs.
Okay, and then standout player for you this season?
Standout player? I mean, it's got to be Chewinga, hasn't it? Obviously, injured right at the end, but just once again, Golden Boot winner, unbelievable talent. And to think there's like quite literally 2 of them, because her sister plays for Leon, is just nuts. But yeah, I'm gonna. Sorry, Sean, I'm gonna take the easy option. I'm gonna say Chewinga.
I'm gonna go for someone whose team didn't even make the playoffs. Louisville didn't. Louisville? No, they didn't make the playoffs, did they? Louisville?
Yeah, they did. They were 7th.
Oh, they were. Oh, there we go. Well, we're not experts, Liberty. That's what I've learned. But she's always impressed me. She's always been solid. I think she's gone again really under the radar. I really enjoy watching Taylor Flint. There's just a consistency about it, and I think she's out of contract at the end of this season. So I do wonder where she's going to go. But she's one of those who never gets mentioned, but she's always considered. I think she's had another unbelievable year with Louisville. So I'll plug for Taylor Flint.
Very good. Louisville went out to Washington Spirit, believe it or not, and that was on penalties, 3-1. So there you go. Well, there you are. We do have a final. Esther Gonzalez is a good shout as well. She did have a very good season as well. And yeah, that was the main one there for sure. And I'm glad that you brought up Utah Couture, because I was thinking that as well. They were rock bottom for quite a while, but pulled themselves off of it, and surely they've given themselves a foundation for next season to press on and do a bit better and maybe make the playoffs themselves. Hand is up.
I'm very sorry. Can I just quickly say something? Actually, I just thought of something, because I was thinking about how Martin Sorrigan, the Hammarby head coach, is going over to the Chicago. Start that again. He's going over to the Chicago Stars to be their manager now, because our season is finished. But also, Mac Lind, who is the BK Häcken head coach, is rumoured to be taking over the Spirit. No.
Isn't it the Courage?
Courage. No.
Yeah.
Kansas? Oh, one of them. Anyway, 18. No. What team was... Sean, please may you Google it quick. Anyway, Mac Lind is rumoured to be going over to the NWSL. We'll find out for you in 1 second what team that is. If Uncle Tony was here, he'd be able to tell us straight away. He'd be in the chat like this, but he's not. And a really good head coach. Really, obviously, won the league this season with Häcken.
It was the Courage.
Thank you very much. He's rumoured to be going over to the Courage. Really good head coach. Won the league this season with Häcken. And really good that I think we see a lot of English teams take coaches out of Sweden, but really good to see some NWSL teams taking some interest in some head coaches from Sweden, because they're quite talented guys. And yeah, I it's not confirmed, but really interesting appointment if Lind does go over to America. Thank you, Barry.
No problems. And yeah, I suppose the sad thing about all of this for us, certainly over here in the UK, will be the time of the fixture, because having had, we made a big thing about this the other day, Liberty, about how good it was that the matches were on at sort of 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, reasonable sort of times for us to to watch over here. It's a very selfish option that we're taking here, I know. But it's a 1 o'clock kickoff for us on Sunday, the 23rd of November. Very early game.
The thing is as well, there are two teams on the East Coast, and where they're playing? San Jose, California. What's that all about? Climate change? You don't care.
Well, they pick out the stadiums for the final like about 6 months in advance. Like they choose it so early.
I just wanted to shout they didn't care about climate change. Yeah, it's a bit sad. It's so fun when the games are on at a good time here in the UK because we can tune in and not worry too much about waking up the next morning to go to work. But it is unfortunate. But also, I guess maybe it's a better time for actually, people in America who can actually, go to the game. So maybe we shouldn't be so selfish. But yeah, it's just unfortunate we've had both the playoff rounds before this at such good times. I mean, 5 p.m. on Saturday. What a brilliant time to have a game, especially when there's no men's football because it's international break. Just like perfect. Oh, hello. I didn't watch because Wales were playing Liechtenstein at 5 o'clock on Saturday, actually.
And Wales won 1-0. I'll just put that one out there for Sean because he already told me that one. Big win. Everyone loves a big win over Liechtenstein. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but also if it means that more bums are in seats in the stadium, maybe it's a sacrifice us mere people this side of the pond should take.
1 o'clock is a fairly regular sort of time for main events in America. Certainly, I know that when the WWE used to be on, that was always a 1 o'clock sort of start, and the boxing matches tend to, main events tend to be sort of 1, 2 o'clock, sometimes 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So it does seem like a sort of a reasonable time. But yeah, I suppose if you've got your semi-finals kicking off at sort of 5, 6, 7 as well, like I don't know. Who knows? But there we go. So that is happening over there. But Washington Spirit against Gotham FC, and it's this Sunday. Well, I don't know where you're from, Jackie. So if you're like us and you're in England, then we agree. If you're in America and you think it's a bad time, tell me more.
Whoa. Sean's not in England. Sean's not in England.
Dare you?
How dare you?
We're not all in England. How very dare you? For us over in England. I'm not in England. How dare you? Take it back.
You actually live in Wales, do you?
Absolutely. I don't know what game you're
and you've got Wi-Fi. That's amazing.
Why, there's 7 sheep herded outside my house now as well, yeah.
Oh, that's how they travel it through, is it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
It's like 9 a.m. Still don't know where you're from, though, Jackie. So you have to help me narrow this down. Either way, she doesn't like it, so fair enough. So yeah, there we go. Right, it's going to be, you're going to get 60 seconds. It's going to be like the buzzer thing again now, because I know there's things that were mentioned. So 60 seconds, Real Madrid 0, Barcelona 4. Sean, what a result that is. Barcelona are going to win the league again, aren't they? Like, they're on one game.
I'm just going to say, Barcelona are quite good at football, aren't they?
They're not bad.
Who knew? Real Madrid, not quite at that level. Who knew? That's about it.
He's playing the game well. Liberty?
I'll say some more words. 2 goals from Eva Payor. Brilliant. Really good to see her back and scoring. She got the first 2 goals of the 4-0 win. But also, the big talking point, Katakoy, that save is brilliant. She has read that so well, and just a brilliant save. I think she gets a lot of slack at times because she doesn't. There isn't many shots against her and stuff. Is she really that good? She is a very good goalkeeper, and that save shows how good she is. And it's not like Real Madrid didn't have chances. There is some early chances where the back line for Barcelona just sort of doesn't read it right, but Katakoy once again makes a really good save just off the line. I can't pronounce Swiss names, so I'm just going to call her Sydney to not offend the Swiss. Sydney's goal, really good, brilliant young player. She's got a big future ahead of her. And hello, are you? Oh, have you got it? Oh, and I
I was
turned
being
on
the
Matty.
referee.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were gonna. I thought you were
out.
saying I don't have to say her name. And I turned up on Matty just to put salt in the wound with that last goal in added time. It's just what she does, isn't it? Yeah. When you consider that last season, Barcelona lost their first ever game to Real Madrid, a really good result for them because they could have let that sort of weigh over them, and they didn't. They just destroyed them.
Okay, it wasn't bad. You did take the time that Sean didn't there. You nicked his 30 seconds. So I'm going to let you off. It was a good job that Sean was concise. Another one, the Pockle Cup, 6-4 for Frankfurt and Hoffenheim. Listen, I probably ain't said it right. It's far too late for me to care on this one. The German Cup. Is this the German version of the Sandwich Cup or the German version of the beauty of a cup competition?
It's the FA Cup equivalent. It's very prestigious. And yeah, 10 goals in one game is insane. And it was 4-2 at halftime. Once again, was not watching the game because I was at Arsenal. But the goal notifications were coming through and I thought, I'm missing the game of the century here. Yeah, both Bundesliga teams, both, decently in the top half of the table, so it was always going to be a good game. But 4-6 is insane of a goal line. And it's not also, there was loads of other score lines of that similarity in this round. There was a 5-3, I think, a 2-3. So lots of games getting lots of goals. Maybe that's where all of Arsenal goals went. But yeah, good to see Frankfurt through to the next round against like a decently hard opposition. And yeah, and then Hoffenheim fired their manager today. And one of the reasons was apparently a disagreement in the direction of the team and the club, which I think is quite interesting. But yeah, so lost 6-4 yesterday and fired today, poor man.
There we go. I'm intrigued if this is what Chelmy meant there. Perhaps he meant fired her via Instagram, which would be quite something.
No, Sean... that's about... Sorry, Barry, for context. Barcelona scouted Sydney Schertenleib, I think is how it's pronounced, through Instagram. It's quite a funny story that they basically slid into her DMs and said, hello.
Well, I hope they said more than just hello. Otherwise, that's ever so slightly creepy. Sean, do you know how to name this cup that Liberty giggled at when I...
The DFB Pokal. Pokalspieler. It's such a prestigious... It's such a prestigious...
Just me speaking in my usual Cockney sort of way, isn't it? It's a little swagger. The old East End of the docks, you know how it goes. Right.
Are you... Barry, were you Del Boy in another life?
Oh, I'll tell you, Rodney. Yes, I was. Yes, you plunker. Right. Magdalena Eriksson. Sean, talk to me. Why have I got
No, because it's sad, Barry.
Okay, good. Well, you've got 60 seconds to grieve.
Yeah. It seems to be a season of people retiring with the next international break coming up. It won't surprise me if we see maybe a few more, but a giant of Swedish football, one of the very best. If you haven't read Fridolin Rolfö's tribute to her, that's really quite touching. Pernilla Harder's tribute as well. One of the greatest to ever put on that yellow shirt, and she will be sorely, sorely missed. And I hope she plays a club career a little longer because, yeah, just an absolute epic defender.
Liberty.
Yeah, if you're reading tributes to Magdalena, I would also say read Frida Fuglund, her tribute in Aftonbladet. You'll have to Google translate it, but it is beautiful. It made me tear up. And Frida's a brilliant writer, so I would recommend reading that. But yeah, look, I tweeted it, so sorry if you follow me there and seen this already, but I said, and it's the truth, I used to look forward to watching Sweden purely to watch Magda and not feel ashamed that I was enjoying a Chelsea player's performance. unbelievable defender, one of the best centre backs I think in the last 10 years, maybe ever. Unbelievable, and her passion and her commitment to Sweden is just beautiful. And on the train of tributes, I think Hannah Lundqvist said it best. She said, "Learned what it means to learned from the best what it means to represent our country." That is what Magdalena Eriksson was to Sweden, and so many of those young players have know what it means to represent their country and put on that shirt through her. Just unbelievable professional and unbelievable player, and she'll be very, very sorely missed. But hopefully, this means that her career in football will extend even a little bit further now that she won't be pulled from pillar to post.
No, absolutely, and fair play there. My last question for you, Liberty. You used a word that I very clearly told you I don't think exists. I'm not really too interested in what happened with it. I just want to, what the hell is the top Syrian?
It's the top flight of Norwegian women's football, Barry.
Oh, well, what else is it?
It means top series. Just putting that out there in Norwegian.
I'll be honest, when you put it through there, I thought it was like the cards that you could get, and it was some sort of card game within. I was like, that's not real. But okay, so go on then. You've got a quick 60 seconds to give us an idea of who won the Norwegian top Syrian.
I think it'll come as a surprise to nobody that Brann won, and they were 8 points clear of Vålerenga in second, who were then 3 points clear off the top of my head of Rosenborg. And Brann won. They played, I just said that. They played Rosenborg and beat them 2-1 yesterday. Obviously, these are Vålerenga and Brann we are familiar with from European football at this point, and they're not really that surprising of teams to see up to the top. But yeah, just because they run on a summer league instead of a winter league, they also finished this weekend. And yeah, Brann once again, league winners. Very well done to them. And yeah, lots of talent for them that potentially could be on the move. We've already spoken about one of them already. I'm not going to say her name, but not because, sorry, that sounded really nasty. I'm really sorry. It wasn't like I'm not going to say her name because I'm like, bleh. I'm not going to say it because she's going to Spurs, and it's a bit upsetting for me personally. Sorry, that came across way wrong. But yeah, Brann won the league, top Syrian, top flight of Norwegian football, even though Barry thought that I was speaking gobbledygook.
He does do that every once in a while. So there we go. And yes, very, very good indeed to hear about. Nice that we are diversifying again. Speaking of diversifying, let's go back over to our correspondent in England to tell us a little bit about the Welsh League. Sorry, our correspondent in Wales to tell us a little bit more about the Welsh League.
It's me. Oh, there you go. Everyone played. No one moved in the table. Pretty much as you were. Good win for Cardiff over Swansea in the derby. Them and Wrexham level on points. Now got a 3-point gap to Swans. Good win for TNS. Strengthened their top four credentials with a win over Britain Ferry. A good comeback win for Barry, who moved level on points with Aberystwyth in that sort of race to maybe get into top four. And it looks really, really quite bleak for Pontypridd. No wins, 9 losses, no draws. I think it's 4 scored, 46 conceded.
Oh. Remind us again who came up?
Who got promoted?
Yes.
That was Pontypridd. They had a really bad summer.
They've come up and it's looking like they're going to go straight down again.
Lost management, lost all of their senior players. I think only 4 who in that playoff squad remained. And I think the oldest player they have is age 23. So it's a big old learning curve for them. It's tough. It's really tough out there for them.
Well, there we go. And that is where we are. And we will finish our show. So, Couture Criminals put here, Sean and Barry road trip, please. The bromance is. Now, I'm going to let you into a secret. Well, it's not really a secret, to be honest with you, Couture. But it's certainly something that people probably wouldn't know. if they're on this channel, which is that Sean and myself have actually been very good friends for quite a while. When Sean used to come on to All for United WFC, I was his biggest cheerleader, and it was lovely getting him to come on. And what's basically happened is that the more he's got to know me, the less he seems to like me, which is fair enough. Bless him. But no, I'm joking. Genuinely, we have got an incredibly good relationship, and I have a lot of love for Sean in all of his ways and his mannerisms. And he knows full well that I'm only sitting here having a giggle when I start throwing the England and Wales things over there. It's only because he throws it back over to us as well. And listen, I think it could be quite good fun. It'd be a bit like Roy Keane and Micah Richards. You could be Keano, I could be Micah.
I'd like to obviously a lot of love, all that, yes, sentiment, all that, yes, I agree. We can't do a road trip because I don't want to come out of Wales and you don't want to go into it, so it wouldn't work. And I'm not driving up the border.
The last time I told you that I've been to Wales and I named a place, you made it sound like I'd gone to Brixton.
What? Everyone goes to Brixton. It's where the hipsters live, isn't it?
Well, I said I've been to Real, and you was like, "Oh my god."
Well, yeah, that's because Real's a dump. That's a whole different reason. That's not my fault. You chose the worst place to go. Out of all the nice places in Wales, you chose Real.
I've been to the Mumbles.
Well, you could have said that. That's a bit better from you.
So I've been to Wrexham.
I'm just going to put it out there. I've never been to Wales.
Oh, you're missing out.
I'd also like to say, Sean, I'm very sorry, but I've never been further north than Reading, which is, not north. So, it's not a Wales specific thing. I just haven't gone very far in England.
You've never been further north than Reading, did you just say?
No, I was meant to go to Manchester last year, but the person who I was supposed to go with pulled out 3 days before, so I've just never gone. Also, I never left the country until I was 14, so I just am not the most cultured person. I'm very sorry. I make up with it by talking about a lot of places I've never set foot in instead. I'm trying to even out the imbalance of my life.
I can't believe you've never. What we need to do is we both need to go and see Sean, and that will take you out further west than you've ever been before. Then I can take you to Real, and that'll take you further north than you've ever been before. And then Sean can explain to us why it's such a bad place.
Brixton.
I'm not going up to Real. It's paying me to go up to Real. I'm not going up there. 4 hours to go to Real? No thanks. I'll be down here.
There you go. So there we go. It would be great fun. Honestly, we could go in like a little Postman Pat van. It would be literally like the actual, all over the mountains and the valleys. But there we go. Anyway, we have digressed massively. But there we go, Kisha. Yes, indeed. The love is there. So it's all good. Right. We're done. We've managed it 2 hours and 8 minutes. Got to be the longest show we've done, I reckon.
I agree.
That's been very enjoyable. And there was a lot to talk about, which is always helpful. Sean, a little shout out again. Where can people find all of your cracking content?
Sean, there's Twitter and TikTok. There'll be Wales stuff out this week because we're announcing our squad for our friendly against Switzerland and an unknown friendly, which we're still trying to finalise at the minute. I have no idea who's against, but I look forward to it.
Reminds me when the WWE used to do that, and they used to do the open challenge. Who's going to come through the curtains? It'd be amazing when I just imagine it's Liechtenstein again. Hey, love it. So that'd be great. Liberty, where can people find you? Not literally, just on the internet.
Well, in my house, you can physically find me, but I'm not going to tell you where that is. On the internet, you can find me at Liberty Simons, which is like the boy's name with an S on the end. And look, Donald Svensson is over, so maybe I'll start talking about football that's not Swedish. Nah, I'll just say how much I miss it. Talk about everything and anything, but no Swedish football because the season's over now. We only have one game left, as I said, which is Ajax on Thursday. So, got to start talking about something else. Maybe I'll start talking about WSL. Maybe I'll just talk about everyone.
New Arsenal manager.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. So I will talk
Or she'll
about
just be going off
anything.
making up some more names of things. So we
Yeah,
can
I'm
all
gonna
watch
come
out.
up with things and then pretend like they've been real this whole time, and then
Exactly.
watch you try and figure out if I'm telling porcupines or not.
I
Maybe
can see
that's
it
what I'll do.
happening. You're just gonna cut loads of names. Oh, that's the Saudi Arabian League, and I wouldn't know any different. I'm just like, yes, Liberty, no
I'm just
problem.
gonna
I just
mash
bow to
words
the
together
knowledge.
and hope for the best. But yeah, yep, anything and everything. I like the boy's name with an S on the end, and yeah, maybe I'll start talking about, I don't know, Scottish Women's Premier League.
Ooh,
Maybe got time now on my hands.
absolutely. Well, there we go. If that's
Can
not
do.
worth follow, I don't know what is. It gives you the opportunity to see what on earth Liberty is going to fill her time up with. And yes, there you go. That has definitely ended the session. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully, didn't manage to get on last week, but hopefully we will have a lower league lingo during the middle of this week. But if not, we will be back same time at same place next week. And who knows what we're talking about. It won't be the Damallsvenskan. It won't be the Tops Tiles League. It won't be any of these sorts of things. But it may well be the NWSL Championship. And it won't be the WSL either, because they're not playing. Maybe it'll be Sean's favourite thing. We're all off to Subway. See you later.